good evening. So, I'll admit I've had a pretty emotional day today. I've been on this journey with this 40 days of showing up, and it's led to some places that I think I've been resisting for a long time. And that being showing up and taking this more seriously. This being content creation and actually utilizing my life as an asset and sharing all that I've learned in my one lifetime in this embodiment and being of service. And what that actually requires of me to do is to let go of the self-consciousness in order to do so, which I've been doing. I've been looking at the reactions that sharing brings up for me to see, because it's just another, I feel like triggers are gold for me to look at, to excavate, to let it go and no longer be owned by the trigger, owned by the wound, and clear out the many black holes that have accumulated over however many lifetimes or however many traumas that I've endured that have created beliefs and scripts inside my head that try to tell me who I am and how to be and how to feel and how to think and how to live my life. And so it's this process of becoming free more and more every day. But there's been this thing that I've been wrestling with for years, and it's about showing up online. And, when I was a little girl, I knew and had this self-assuredness that I was going to, I just knew. I didn't know how it would manifest because we didn't have the internet the way that we do now. But I had this feeling that I was going to be able to make a living being myself. And at the time, being a child, I was like, oh, I'll be a singer, I'll be an actress, or, because I liked those things. And really, all I could see were the people on the screen, and I know that they were being themselves in some regard. And so fast forward to many dark night of the souls that I've had, and trials and tribulations and things that I've gone through that have prompted such rich material for me to excavate inside myself and bring to you the lessons and the gold from, so that you can do your own work and learn vicariously through me. So yeah, here I am doing that. But I'm at this point where I have been studying content creation and the algorithm and learning from these platforms on engagement and storytelling. Really, what it's become is how good can you be at being yourself and sharing who you are. How effective can you be at communicating? And it's always been something that I have felt insecure about for whatever reason since I was a little child. And I think I know why. I find it very interesting and fascinating, the things that we're most afraid of, or the things that trigger us the most. I think it has a lot to do with what we're here to do and what we're here to be and what we're here to give. And, I've been by the American standard, very poor for a very long time. I don't know if I've ever really talked about it here, but like, I've been below the poverty line of the United States measure, right? I live like a queen and compared to so many other people all over the planet. And I think that's why I've been afraid to talk about it, because I don't want to seem like I'm complaining, because I understand how blessed I am and I don't want to focus on the negative. But I also think that sharing my experience is a really valid thing. And so I will continue to share. But I was doing a lot of budgeting and feeling like I'm cleaning up some residual anxiety around money, and like the fear that I have around it, like the anxiety that I have around money. And I've had for a really, really long time, since becoming a mother, I think, specifically, but even before that. And so I was really facing those fears and realizing it wasn't as dramatic as I thought. And I felt like, okay, I know my income, I know my budget, and I'll adjust. I'm currently in school, so my ability to work shifts at my current customer service job is limited, but I get financial aid to compensate, and I have a subsidized apartment, so it's income based. Thank you, God. And my mom lives in the same apartment complex, which is really nice for my son. And so, all that being said, so I have my son about half-time. I'm in school technically full-time. I go to work part-time. And I'm showing up here, which is taking and giving a lot of energy. And I love it because it's my life force and what I feel like I'm here to do. And I'm sharing all of this because there was like this crux. So I'm going to just turn this up a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Okay. That's better. I think it changed the tint, but either way, here we go. No, I don't like that because oh no. I'll try to edit this out if I remember. So the crux point is I've been gathering and learning and now implementing what I've learned about content creation. And I'm actually applying it and seeing how this could actually be a substantial way that I can finally lift myself out of American poverty. And it triggered me because I feel like I could really do this. I could really change my life by changing my identity and choosing to show up for myself and my life force. I spent 4 hours this morning completely locked into the flow of making videos, editing videos, writing scripts, and actually putting my thoughts on paper again. And I've been doing this for a while now, since I started this challenge, and I had no idea that this was going to happen. And so again, it's something that I think I've been running from because of how exposing it is and how vulnerable it can be to be so well known or to be potentially reaching a lot of people. And that doesn't trigger me as much as it used to, but I think it's more of just like really showing up for life and showing up and actually challenging my identity and not realizing like how much I have put so much energy and life force into being poor. And so, as I've been making these videos about, challenging the things inside of yourself, the beliefs that you have, the scripts running wild and loose, keeping you in loops. Because your life force, believe it or not, even if it's subconscious, you're feeding a black hole. The black hole was not really a black hole. It started out as a wound, and certain beliefs you had to take on to keep reinforcing that identity that kept that wound open, and therefore it metastasized and it becomes this black hole. I'm a part of some spiritual teachings where it's called a separate self, because it's called a separate self because you think it's you. You're upholding this identity of who you think that you are and how you think you should be. And so now as I'm like giving life everything that I've got, like giving this content creation, I'm giving everything that I've got, and I'm going to continue to give it everything I've got and learn, and letting go of like the fear or the lack of motivation, and acquiring like discipline and structure, and actually being brave enough to acknowledge without the fear and the shame or the anxiety of being able to be like, no, I actually I need to make more money. There's only so much I can cut back in my expenses. I don't live an extravagant life, and like the basic things that I need for my life, I'm realizing like I have to make more money, and there's only so much time. And so yeah, the energy and the time, which is so free flowing, the energy that I have to give to making content, to just trying and seeing what sticks and learning from, what speaks to people, and getting really good at being succinct and articulate, and going on my own journey of self-discovery along that way, being in service to life and getting out of my own way and out of my own head and not worrying about what people think. It's really challenging because I have cared so much about what people think. I have oriented my identity around what people think and what people do and say, because I was so desperate for love, and I was so desperate for approval, and so desperate to belong, because I felt so alone and I felt so empty and I felt like so confused growing up, like when I was a lot younger, and I would attract situations and people that would kind of fortify that lack of self-esteem and lack of self-worth, because they would be really unhealthy dynamics. They would be really unloving dynamics, because I didn't realize that I didn't really love myself. I really didn't even know myself. I really didn't understand. I had a concept of myself, and I felt and could experience life, and I did have preferences and needs, but I didn't think that I could ever allow myself to want or need those things. I just kind of went along with what other people wanted. And then whenever I finally got to the point of rubbing up against my own boundaries, it would fly off into some like emotional rage. It was like such a wild experience, because I didn't actually know or understand my own feelings. Like, I didn't know or understand my own boundaries. And even if I did, it was like I was so repressed and I was so just so traumatized. Like, I couldn't even regulate myself. Like, the person that you see right now, I can't even begin to tell you the person that I used to be. Like, I've always been myself in the core, but because I've really just been taking off these layers of lies and illusions and let go of these black holes, I've resolved them, I've let them go. And it's kind of incredible. And I have found a thing that works for me, and I'm doing my best to articulate it from different angles and different ways to say it and to describe the process so that you can understand how actually easy it is. But it takes practice. It takes practice because it's a felt sense. You have to be able to intuitively understand and get to the point where you can differentiate between what is you and what is not you, and like who you really are and your true self. So I'm going to be very upfront. Like, I'm going to be finding ways to make money sharing this with you, whether it's some kind of course or some type of program, or even just sharing content in a way that really reaches people, and so that I get paid from the views that I would get if it went more public, more broad, or viral, or whatever, It seems like, from what I've been able to gather, what goes viral is what really resonates with people. And so I know who I am now, and I'm glad that I'm at this place to be doing this, because back then I cared way too much about what people think. I had way too much unresolved psychology. I was way too triggered too easily. And I'm finally at this point where I can take that next leap and feel like I can really be grounded in this whole process. And so thank you for being a part of it. With my transparency and any kind of support or, comments you have, any opinions that you have, any insight that you may have about content creation and being a supportive ally, I'm all for it. Any tips or tricks, because I'm a single mom who's been, low income for the entirety of my adult life. I'm 31. And I have way too much to offer to continue to play small for the sake of being triggered or caring about what other people think. As long as it's helping someone, as long as it's being of service and coming from that place of like life force, giving, sharing, like, I just can't be bothered. Truly. When I can't be bothered by that. So thanks for hearing me. I didn't anticipate sharing all of this, but I knew it was overdue. So see you in the next one.